if we can't make our customers successful, we don't have a business. So that's literally our whole ball game. And one of the big focuses we have right now, Mother's Day is coming up. It's a big art selling holiday, and it's an important practicing opportunity to run a sale. We've literally like transitioned into a business that is geared up for marketing in between sales, all the way a bunch of, like, if you think about it, like running a race, like a bunch of like short training races, all to get ready for the marathon, which is the fourth quarter, which is when the most art sells all year long. So I don't know why I brought that up, but the sale is just so fundamental to selling art and photography online. But we can get into that. So let's get into the Q&A, and then depending on how many questions we have, I can maybe come with some more remarks later. A couple different ways to ask questions. One, there is a digital way to raise your hand, which you can see Jessica's done already. There's a participants window at the bottom of Zoom, and you can click on the participants, and what that lets you do is digitally raise your hand. Then you get into the queue, and you can ask your question. If your camera's on, and I see you waving your hand old school style, that works too. That's fine. And then, if for some reason you don't want to have to be on video, trust me, you don't have to be on video. I hate being on video. I totally understand it. You can also leave questions in the chat too, if you've got one, and I will answer those. And then we're also streaming this directly on all the socials, on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So if you've got questions in that venue, you can ask those as well. But I love the questions, and it can literally be about anything. You have an art-related question about where your business is, where you think it should go, what you should be selling, need advice on Facebook or Instagram or any of your social marketing or emailing or anything in between, I would love to get into it. So, Jess, you're up first, or Jessica, I should say.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you? Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. How you doing?
Good. It looks like you're in like sunny Florida or something.
Yeah, mentally that's where I'd like to be, right? But it's just my background for the day.
Anyway, this is my first time here.
Welcome.
I create these behind me. You could see like illuminations, I call them.
Okay.
And the last 3 years, I've been working with a dealer, and together we sold 70,000 each year.
Awesome.
But what happens is I get 50%, and I'm really sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, so what I've done is I've created, I'm just in the process of creating a line of G clay reproductions, and I and so I've been researching now, how do I market these? How
Mm-hmm.
do I get these out there? Who do
Mm-hmm.
I sell them to? And I came upon your storefront. Um, so what I would like is I would like to start selling these collection. It's a collection of pieces
Mm-hmm.
that are more affordable. Start with that, and then eventually start selling the illuminations that I do also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, I I guess the question I have is, like, when you say we'll help you with Facebook ads and Instagram ads, so do you pay as what for what you need as you go?
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of questions in there. Let's unpack them. And I'm getting a little bit of feedback, like when my voice comes out of your speaker. So I'm gonna mute you for a sec, rant, and then I'll unmute you again. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so well, actually, I'm going to unmute you again up top because I'm curious. So when you say a dealer, and you'll need to hit the mic thing again. Sorry, I got trigger happy on the muting. Um, is that like essentially a gallery type of a relationship? Do they have like a retail gallery? Is that how it's going about, or they're like a dealer in a different capacity?
She's an art consultant.
She's an art consultant. Got it. So she sells to her customers, and you don't get to keep any of that customer data. Do you know who's buying your pieces or no?
No,
Yeah, yeah. That's just the
that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. We are to start out with. I just want to address this one at the top. Extremely pro revenue source that you get working. Any revenue source that you get working. So the fact that you've been selling $70,000 a year, fantastic. That places you up in like the top 5% of artists. Period. Just so you know that. That's amazing. That's awesome. Huge congrats. I love it. The world loves your work. Huge problem is you're doing that
Right.
you're doing that in lieu of building your own business, right? And
Exactly.
you have to build your own business. You've already figured this out. And ideally it's not going to cause any disruption with this other relationship that you have going on. Just out of curiosity, have you discussed it at all, or have you said like, hey dealer, I'm going to start marketing myself and selling direct?
No, I mean, she has a jurisdiction around one city,
Mm-hmm.
but the question is production, like, can I produce what I need to produce without killing myself? So,
Yeah.
um,
What did
you
the
know,
what did the original
do,
start at, just out of curiosity?
Excuse me.
What's the price point on the originals?
Well, they go. Uh, well, okay. So this piece here, it's a 40 by 40,
Mm-hmm.
and it's silver and gold leaf. It's selling for 6,000, and I
Six.
get half.
Yep. Okay. Understood.
So
You're in an interesting place. I mean, I think, God, there's so many things. Let's just talk broad, and then we'll go down to the narrow. In terms of broad strokes, you absolutely have to have your own website. You absolutely have to be selling direct, and that's easy to approach cynically. It doesn't have to be with us. Period. You need your own website. You need to be selling direct. You need to be capturing emails on a regular basis, getting some attention that you own, posting regularly on the socials, and doing all of the fundamental things that would be growing the business that sells direct. The fact that you have
okay.
got, the fact that you have, let me just say this: there's a lot of people that come on these calls, and sometimes it's a red light and a yellow light. Yours is the biggest green light I've ever seen. You got to go, 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 go immediately, because the fact that you are selling that much already tells me that you have a product the market absolutely wants. So, you realize too that all your eggs are in one basket, right? Your entire retirement account is in one stock, which is not good, because if anything happens to that
No.
relationship, yeah. So you get that, which is huge. We are absolutely a tremendous fit for you, but I don't want to quit yet. Um, I love that you moved to G Clays. Super intelligent, because I constantly use this example, and once you start marketing, this will be the case. Everybody's followers fall into a bell curve, okay? And on the bottom part of the bell curve, you have the lower income people. This is all just socioeconomic status. You have the lower income people. Then you have lower middle class, upper middle class, and then you have the high net worth individuals. Right now, you have a product that only caters to the high net worth individuals, right? $6,000 starting price, or maybe $4,000 on your cheapers. So I love that the G Clays will open up that market to you a little bit. I also love the fact that you're doing like the gold leaf and the silver leaf. You could potentially figure out whether, I don't know what your mounting process is, but you can start getting G Clays made, right? And maybe metal, maybe acrylic. And let me just grab one so I can show you.
And in hand embellish them.
And you're ahead of me, and hand embellish them. Like if you could start doing that, then and the larger point is, if I walk into Jessica Feldheim's store and I don't have price points for everybody, I'm missing out on so much that my marketing is creating, right? And so
I agree.
you could have these lower price points with the prints, maybe starting at 50, 75, 150, 200, and then you could do the embellished prints at 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, 800, and you could do so well.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the coach I work with, he said we should have 3 price points.
Mm-hmm.
So the G Clays are the affordable ones. The paint on panel with gold and silver is the medium, and I just reintroduced Venetian plaster on board with gold and silver, and that's my high end.
Awesome.
So that's 30% higher than the middle range.
Yeah, you got to have the price point diversity for sure. So let's go back to the marketing, which is your biggest issue right now. Period. It's really your only issue right now is marketing.
Right.
One, it's what we teach all year long. That's really what everyone thinks that we're a website company. No one has a website problem. Like 99 out of 100 artists don't have a website problem. Meaning, if I was the genie and I just came out of a lamp and I said, Jessica, I'm going to grant you your wish. I'm going to take your website, create it out of scratch anywhere you want on any platform. Your business overnight is not going to fundamentally change no matter which one you move to. You have a marketing problem, right? You need to be capturing emails. You need to be emailing them. You need to be growing your social following. You need to be having live art shows. Yes, you need to be running ads. You need to be doing all of these things, and there's no shortcut to it, right? You're going to have to start doing it. The list is going to build. Your social following is going to build. You're going to have sales. You're going to have live art shows, and you're a couple years of marketing away from having a massive business online. So you just need to get started and need to start doing it. And yes, we teach that all year, but we also have an agency. So you can go and buy things off the shelf, a la carte. If you need your Instagram profile tuned up, you can do that. If you need your Facebook.
I have that.
Yeah. So,
question. So costs. So what, to actually join, because you don't give that information.
No.
So to join your club,
yes.
I love it. It's club or school or university.
Yeah.
Which is really a great thing, art business. Then what does that cost? And then monthly, and then what does it cost to get support for social media?
Okay, a couple of things. So the easiest way to think of the pricing is we're a website company like all other website companies. There's a monthly fee, right? And so there is a monthly fee, fine. The Art Business University is the other thing you pay for when you sign up. And what is it all? What all is in there? I mean, you sort of saw it on the demo call, but most people tune that out. One, we have the best DIY education for selling art and photography, full stop. We've been working on it for a long time. And so there are courses that we have internally how you run everything. We split up the entire customer base into 3 different revenue tranches. So if you've yet to sell $2,000 on your website, you're in a group. After 2,000 to a much higher threshold, you're in a group. Over that higher threshold, you're in the 3rd group. We hold weekly Zoom sessions like this where you come in, we talk and teach about whatever we're doing that week because we have a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year. And we go over it, and then you ask your Q&A. In addition to that, there are Zoom sessions 6 days a week that you can pop into and get support just like this. Screen shares, the whole deal. And it can be about website stuff, or you could have an Instagram problem and we'll get you unstuck. It could be an email problem, we'll get you unstuck. Anything. Like, you know, we've got our tech support people in all of this. So we have that. And then, you know, in addition to that, there's the agency. And the agency, you can go and buy a la carte services or get fully hosted services or anything else. So if I'm an artist like you, I would probably come in and avail myself of those services because, you know, again, I do a lot of these on a weekly basis. Very few people are at your level of sales. It's just the truth. You have a product the market absolutely wants, and your only job is to get as much attention for it as possible. So the Art Business University fee, to finish it off on pricing, is a one-time fee. You pay it, you're in for life. You get all of that support for life. The Zoom sessions, the education, the Facebook group, all of it for life. And the smallest plan or whatever that they do is it's $9.99 one time, and then the monthly fee, which I believe is $49 or $39. It's either one or the other. There are plans that have higher bells and whistles that go up, and they like package deals and do all the things that they do. But that's what it starts out with. And for you, you need to get all of that art up on the website immediately and start marketing.
So, okay, so I have a website of my own. I think I have a printer that I like. I haven't, I guess to get started, I need scans. If I decide to print with him, I don't know. Now,
I wouldn't, and here's the reason I would say I wouldn't in terms of the printing. There's no ROI in printing in terms of the time that it'll take you. So we as a service, let's just say you ended up going with us, we offer any option available, right? Like if it's an original, obviously you're going to ship it. If you want to use a local printer, you can use a local printer. But we don't advocate that any of our customers do it because we've one-click integrated the entire thing, meaning an order comes into your site, it
sounds good.
You get paid, printer gets paid, it gets printed, your logo goes in the side of the box, they ship it, you don't have to touch anything. That's time you can spend on your marketing, which will grow the business. In terms of the scans,
so do I need to have my work scanned, or do you do that too?
So the scanning is like a little bit more of a personal thing. We have one guy, and I'm gonna send you this article. April's not here, so I can't put it in the chat. April, if you're still on, put it in the chat. But we have a guy that his job for he made a career of photographing artwork for fine art reproduction, and he did like a very, very in-depth article of how you can do it, everything from an iPhone all the way to getting them professionally scanned. You would need to do that for reproduction. Yours is a little bit stickier because some of those metal papers will reflect, right?
No, I wouldn't do metal. It's just drawings, black and white, and some color. And I think I would have them scanned and photoshopped to my specification, and then have them printed, so I could just email them to the printer and have it all done like that.
Done, yeah. All you do is you just upload, and all the items get populated in your store, and then you can order proofs of the ones that you like, and then you're ready to go. Day one, you don't touch anything.
So for clarification, so your store so my store on your website would be
JessicaFeldheimArt.com. Like, you own the URL.
Okay, and then just start with that, and just continue what I'm doing to keep going, and then start adding the other part to it later.
Yes.
But the prints is what I want to get going first.
Well, I would put everything up right away. I mean, I would have originals. I would put yourself up for commissions. I would offer the embellished prints. If you want to wait on the embellished prints, fine. But then I would have also the G-Clay pricing. And to be honest with you, you're one of the very few people that's ever come on one of these calls where it sounds like you have an art consultant that actually knows what they're talking about in terms of those price points. I love where he's at or she's at on that. It's correct. The pricing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if you market in a large city where there's a lot of money, and the work is like, I have friends who are painters, and the galleries actually tell them how much to charge for their work, which I find is ludicrous.
Hmm.
And I just tell them what I'm charging. They don't tell me,
Yeah.
it's, you have to survive more than survive. You have to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, so you'll email me all the pricing and all that. How does it work?
Yeah, we'll send you an email after this, but I highly recommend in your case that you request a demo. There'll be a link in the chat. We'll email you afterwards, and then one of our consultants will
Okay.
will call you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you're there for us.
yeah, we can help you massively, Jessica. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, you're gonna have a rough couple of years ahead of you. A rough couple of years in the sense that you're gonna have to do digital marketing that you've probably never done before. But I've just
I've
got to
been
tell.
doing it for
Okay, good.
years,
Okay,
2, 3 hours a day.
oh, wonderful. So
Yeah.
do you have a good Facebook and Instagram following already?
I have Instagram, not Facebook,
Okay,
mostly Instagram.
okay. Okay. Well,
I think marketing to interior designers is the way to go, and staging companies,
mhm,
because they can, like, when they stage, they don't want like expensive art, but they'd like a nice collection that's framed.
yeah,
So, they buy one of my collections, put it up, and it's, what, $1,500 framed.
mhm,
They're set.
yeah,
So there's different markets for different things.
yes, 100% different markets. But it's funny because the question you ask is like, okay, what you're essentially asking me, what everyone asks is, how do I market towards high net worth individuals, right? Like, I want to just target the high net worth individuals, or the interior designers. And there's ways to market interior designers, really effective ways to do it. And there is let me just give you the for instance. There is a website called Houzz, on Houzz,
Yeah,
Houzz. Yeah,
I already know about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So if I was in your shoes and I decided in my head the best way to market and grow my business would be to get my art in front of as many interior designers as possible, I would say, okay,
Right.
I would go onto Houzz, I would email 500 of them a day, and I would do that for 2 years straight, not quit, right? And no one ever ends up doing that, right? Because it's like, the thought is like, is there a way to just get the interior designers that's easy? And no, there's not. It's just like anything else. But what I would argue for you is that if you just do the regular, consistent marketing, and again, I go back to that bell curve, right? Everyone's followers and fans are in a bell curve. The highest ROI, return on investment, time, treasure, talent, everything, marketing that you can do is just good, consistent marketing in the right venues, which we teach you, and then doing it consistently throughout the year. And what ends up happening is it just goes like this. The bell curve just goes up and up and up because you have more people to market to, and you end up capturing more and more and more of those leads, more and more and more
So
of
how do
those
you
sales.
market 500 people a day? I've never heard of such
No,
a
no,
thing.
no, no. I'm saying we teach a certain way of marketing that we believe is more effective than attempting to target high net worth individuals, i.e., interior
Right.
designers. But what I'm saying, if people always ask me, like, how do I go and do this? I would say, don't go and do it. Do what I'm advocating because I believe it's more effective. But what no one wants to hear, I would go onto Houzz. Okay. You can get their interior decorator's name. You can get their Instagram
Yeah, I'm
account.
already on there.
I would spend one day and get 2,500 names off of that site. I'd put them all into a spreadsheet. I would contact
Oh,
every single solitary one of them with an Instagram DM. I'd send them an email, and then I'd keep a little database about whether or not they followed up. I would do that for a year
right.
straight. That's how you at least give yourself a chance because it's such
Exactly.
a low
Yeah.
margin way of doing it, right? Like we had a gal,
That's how I've been doing it. Yeah.
yeah, we had a gal in our Facebook group, and like the Facebook group was called Small Wins, and so everybody posts when they get a win, and everyone talks about it. Like, how'd you do it? How can I do it? So we had a gal that got a $35,000 order from an interior designer, and she's over the moon, rightfully so, huge order, right? And everyone's like, "Well, how did you do it? Was it a Facebook post, or did you contact him? How, like, what are you even doing?" She's like, um, "The interior decorator's daughter has been following me for a year and a half on Instagram and sent me to her mom." And in my experience, that's how those sales
Oh,
happen. It's not by attempting to
right.
target those people directly, right? Like, she did good, consistent marketing all year
Right.
long. This, through serendipity that comes from like properly executing and getting attention. The interior designer's daughter followed her, and then it went to that level. So I think yeah,
Exactly.
that's how it
Yeah,
goes.
because it's a matter of like timing.
Always.
It's coming down to the right time, the right place, and I mean, I did something similar with 100. They call it the Dream 100 clients. So
Hmm.
I regularly email them, and when they get a project, they're gonna remember me because I keep emailing them. Um,
Exactly right. I love that you said that. And that's why everyone fails at Facebook and Instagram ads, by the way, because they go onto Facebook and Instagram, and how many gurus are there out there telling you like, "Ooh, I'll give you magic targeting that'll get the right people on Facebook." Even if you get the right people on Facebook, let's say you have the best audience ever, everyone thinks as an artist or a photographer, like, okay, let's say my audience is 1,000 people, okay, and I'm going to show my ads to the 1,000 people, and it's going to be an ad that says, "Hey, here's my work. Right now it's on sale. Sale ends on Friday, 15% off. Buy now." And we all think in our heads that like, okay, I just got my work in front of 1,000 targeted buyers. And we all think that out of that 1,000 buyers, 500 of them have their hand up. I'm ready to buy art right now. Nothing could be further than the truth. One of them has their hand up that they're ready to buy art right now. If that. So what happens is that you get that person into your ecosystem. And then in your case, emailing all the time. In our case, everything all the time. You're constantly letting them know top of mind. And then guess what happens? 6 months from now, they get transferred for a job. They move into a much bigger house. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I need art in my wall. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Jessica's been marketing to me nonstop. Now I'm ready." That's how art sells.
Right.
And it's like,
Bingo.
you have to be doing it consistently.
It's like a personal trust game,
100%. 100%.
It has to be trust because they're buying, yeah. And I think I'm just at the point now where I just don't want to give 50% away anymore.
I don't blame you. That's not even your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is that you're not retaining your customer data, and so you can't market to collectors, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough, and when I stole it from Weiland's book, actually, I'm going to show this. Hold on. Weiland, the whale guy. He's like he's one of the best-selling artists in the United States, and he's got this book called "Don't Be a Starving Artist," and he talks about throughout his career how one of the most important aspects of his business is cultivating collectors. And a collector, he defines anyone that buys in upwards of 7 pieces throughout the course of their lifetime, right? And so he just markets consistently all year long, and his prices keep going up, and he's got low prices and high prices, and these people keep graduating with his price increases. And I see, we've been doing this now with artists, I think for 6 years now, and I see some of these artists, like, they'll paint a show, they'll send a special email to their collectors. Their collectors will buy 60% of the show before the thing even goes live, right? Or they'll say like, "Oh, I want another commission. I want another commission." And it just keeps happening. It ends up being such a significant portion of your revenue on a year in, year out basis. Right. And not every collector buys every year, but when you're not cultivating those contacts, when you don't have them, you got nothing, right? Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. It totally sucks. I know.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you being live for me. I really do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And congrats on that success. Okay. And definitely prepare yourself to have the conversation with that person about like, "Hey, I am with your dealer gallery relationship. Like, hey, I'm about to start marketing myself. Like, I don't want to create any waves." And we actually have an article on how to navigate those relationships too that I'll also send you after the fact. April, will you make sure that gets into the chat? If you're not there, Juan, just remind me and I'll show you where it is. Okay. More questions in the chat, or if anyone else has them, they can also raise their hands. So who is this asking me this so I can address you personally? Oh, looks like Marilyn. So Marilyn has a website with ArtSpan for many years. Got a domain name. How would I move my website to art storefronts? What are the prices and/or commissions for various services? Okay, great question. So, we advocate that the artist owns absolutely everything here, right? Like, that's the most important thing. So, Marilyn, in your case, if you decided to sign up, you would take that URL that you already own, and instead of pointing it at your ArtSpan, you would just point it to art storefronts. And it's as simple as flipping a switch, and you'd be good to go. But I'll unmute you, Marilyn, if you want to talk. You'll just have to hit the mic icon on the bottom of your Zoom window. And then in terms of the pricing, I went over the pricing, but again, it's sort of why we do the demo process, because the outreach team knows all the ins and outs and all the various different pricing tiers and levels and everything else. And I don't have all that information on the top of my tongue. So why we do the demo process. And if that doesn't answer the questions, let me know. Jason, I love this question. I'm going to unmute you. So Jason, hit your mic icon because I want to talk about this. Have you tried a live art show already, by the way?
I have.
How did it go? Tell me about it.
I'm speaking directly of airbrush art.
Mm-hmm.
It went pretty well. I've been a comic book artist and fantasy artist for about 30 some years. So
awesome.
It moves quickly and can be fun to watch rather than, say, watching something that's more of a brush application that just takes a bit more time.
Yeah.
So it has a certain gratification for the artist and the viewer.
So do you basically you start the stream and then you've got your pen mouse rocking and you're in Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever and you're drawing on the spot and then you sell it after the fact?
That, but what I'm specifically talking about is airbrush. So it's a traditional medium. So
So
it's
oh,
a
okay,
one-off
yeah, manual, yeah.
But I could also do stuff in a Clip Studio that has
Mm-hmm.
a video representation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now that could be done for you. It wouldn't be the one-off, and since there's no originals in digital art,
Yeah.
You can have a lesser price point on that.
Yes, absolutely.
But I just want to know if it's possible that we're able to do that. So maybe there's more interaction, since a lot of this digital selling now and a lot of our artwork is sold online.
Yes.
We don't get to necessarily meet with clientele as much or have the gallery openings or shows that, say, we used to have. And now with COVID and everything, who knows when we're really going to be able to jump back into that.
It's no truer words ever spoken, brother. Let me tell you. I am extremely, and you're going to make me do the hand thing here, but trick question. What is the best way to sell art or photography? Okay. In person, face to face. No one ever disputes that. That is the best way to sell art or photography. Problem, we are all geographically fixed on this planet. We have to sleep, and we're incapable of having 25 concurrent conversations. So we need the website, right? And there's a whole bunch of reasons for why we need the website. The live, whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, direct selling via video is absolutely the future of selling art and photography. Whether it's booking a one-on-one appointment, okay, for a personal art consultation and or showing what originals you have left, or whether it's doing a live session like you're doing, or whether it's doing the live art show, period, right? And we have been extremely early as a company, Art Storefronts, to this particular party. And I've seen levels of success with this particular tactic that I even struggle to explain. And, again, there is a chicken and egg situation in terms of the fact that you need to have attention, right? But what I do is, like, we come up with whatever the latest, greatest marketing tactic, and I'm getting, bear with me here, I'm getting ready to show and tell because I want to show you this directly. Sure. So let me make sure this video is the right size. Okay, just bear with me here. Hold on, I almost got it. So one of our buddies, okay, longtime customer, he's turned over the entire keys to his castle, so to speak, and so I'm constantly running case studies with him. Okay, he's a painter in Quebec in Canada, and I've run multiple different types of live broadcasts with him, right? And one of which is this basement sale concept.
I guess
so it's him in his studio, okay, and he was trying to clear out a bunch of the excess inventory that he had in his basement. And I need to preface this because I don't want to like blow smoke like, you sold this much. This guy's originals start at like $8,000 and go up to like $30,000 or $40,000, right? And so he had a bunch of excess inventory in his basement that he wanted to clear out. And so we came up with this concept of the basement sale, and this is literally him in his studio, okay? This is not even representative of what he paints now at all. This is like super old school stuff. And you can see how I've got like the little trailer going down on the bottom, right? And so what we did in this particular situation was it streamed to Facebook, okay, YouTube, because he has a big YouTube account, his personal Facebook page, his business Facebook page, and then you can see how he has the earbuds in. So the earbuds are connected to his phone, and his phone is doing Instagram Live at the same time, right? He sold, okay, over a 15-day period, because you can see there are multiple sales that he did, over a 15-day period, directly out of his studio in Quebec. I think it was 62 pieces, and it went for a little bit over 36,000 Canadian, and did just phenomenally well, like insanely well. Didn't have to leave his house. He sold art to Canada, the United States, South America, Asia, and Europe. Now, granted, like, I look him up, and his name is, let's see if I have him in the queue, Matthew Laka. I look him up, and it's not totally fair, because what does he have on Instagram? He's got 28,000 followers on Instagram, right? So he has a big collection. In addition to that, okay, this is a guy, Jason, that forever did the dog and pony show. Okay, he would paint for a big gallery show, right? 50-50 split, just like we were talking about earlier, and with Jessica, and that was his life. And so he managed to get a show in before COVID hit, right? Or like even during COVID. And he went and hung the show, and you can see like he called it this Van Gogh-orama thing, right? We did the same thing, streamed it again, right? And streamed it. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. Streamed it again, and except this time, the whole show is hanging in the gallery. He had already pre-sold some of the show to his collectors, but we ran the live broadcast, right? Right inside of the actual gallery where the show is hanging. He talked about the various pieces, and he leveraged the fact that he was able to do this live broadcast and sell it to everyone else that couldn't travel as a result of COVID. So I honestly firmly believe, especially like in the scenario that we're in right now, that all of the offline sources, they are not going to come back so quickly, right? It's still going to take a little bit of time. People are still gun shy to like go and do anything publicly. So this concept, and if you've been at this for this long and you have this social following, the live art show, and again, whether I contact you on your website, Jason, I really like your work, I want to see it, can we set up a Zoom call? Or you just blitz the socials like I was just showing there, and obviously there's a bunch of tradecraft to it, programs and how you do it and everything else. Sure. But like the fact that I can come right into your world and meet you and get to know you, and you can merchandise the pieces, and you're showing them to me, and you're showing me your inspiration, and like, you're being quirky, and you have a glass of beer in your hand or a glass of wine. Like it's incredible. It is the next
Much
best.
More personal.
Yeah, it's the next best thing to being face to face. And so we teach this all the time. We have our customers running them all the time. And it's funny because in like, I have the Zoom sessions with customers, right? And just imagine in there, like you have everybody that has like a very not good technical acumen just getting started, all the way up to people that are like successful, like around your level and down. And they'll run the live art show for the first time, and the technology will screw up, and they'll be so worried, and they'll be like, I looked like crap, and I dropped a piece, and it was so embarrassing, but they're so thrilled afterwards. And then they're like, okay, what do I do next? You know what I say? Go run 1,000 of them. Go run 1,000 of them, because I am that convinced it is absolutely the future. And the fact that I run these Zooms, 3 days a week with customers without. I've got 80-year-old people that come on a regular basis, figure out how to unmute themselves and ask me questions, right? And I sit there and I look at that and I'm like, as a result of this pandemic, the entire world has now figured out that we can do this, right? Like we can video chat, I can get on one. And how long would it take you sending emails or posting on the socials or sending or having a sale on your website versus boom, the camera's on, come right into my world. I'm ready to meet you right now, start talking to you, spend some time with you, all the rest. So I believe it's absolutely the future. Full stop.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that right now.
Yeah.
Now, when you say we went in and we streamed that for him, now he was filming himself or with someone who could help him, and then that was uploaded to the site, the storefront site?
No, it was live streamed to all of his social media sites all at the same time, and then all of the pieces were on his site for sale. But he did. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we do it, right? Like everyone likes to get like fixed on like, well, which live something should I do, dude? It is a bag full of golf clubs.
All of them.
There's a bag full of golf clubs. There's a different shot for every single solitary one. Okay. But case in point, this thing right now is live on 2 YouTube pages, Facebook, Twitter, all at once, and I'm taking questions on Facebook and all of those in addition to doing the Zoom session. So the point is, I trust me, I eat my own dog food on this one and practice what I preach. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. We have detailed step-by-step playbooks on how to do every single solitary one, when to just use your phone, when to contemplate software, how the software brings in comments in real time, what is the easiest way to sell, what is the easiest way to just do a live painting session, how do you think through bandwidth, what is the best equipment to get, should I get a tripod? Yeah, I've got it all, dude, we've got it all. This is what we do, what we teach all year long. That's what we do.
Okay. Yeah, because right now, I'm as rudimentary as it gets, it's smartphone and Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's more for fun, or I do a time lapse or something. But it's just dawned on me relatively recently that this is probably the way I need to go about my business rather than entertaining myself while I do my artwork.
100%. And what one other thing that I'll say as a final, and then Kim, I see you raising your hand, don't worry. What blew me away more than anything else doing Matthews, and there's links on his in the chat, okay? And we're going to email it to you after the fact. Watch his tradecraft, dude. Jason, go watch how he talks about his pieces. Go talk about how he...
It looks awesome. I'd never heard of him before.
He's amazing. So he's been hardcore. I mean, he's not an overnight success. He's an overnight success 15 years in the making, right? Like the
Right. Well,
dude's
that's
been,
how it usually is, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's the
always.
reality of that.
Yeah, always. He's been grinding. But the point is that one of the tricks, and I'll give this trick away for free, is that when the show is spinning up and starting to get ready, you break the ice and you say, hey, where are you guys from, right? And because that guy's been marketing so long, I'm not kidding. You'll see it. You'll see it in depending on which one you watch. They're literally like every country imaginable is going down the list for him, right? Like, they literally South America, Central America, North America, Canada, Europe, all over Europe, Asia, there was India. And after the sale was over, he had to ship art to like 16 different countries. And the nightmare of that aside, like you guys truly have an opportunity to have a global business, to have like
Excellent.
a true global business.
And that's what I'm after.
It's phenomenal.
Just
it's phenomenal.
The state of the world. I think I prefer to reach out and find more buyers that are more diverse anyway.
Yeah, and it's
for sure.
And it's
a lot of my features in my art came from when I was a kid, and Sinbad and so forth. Gunga Din and all that crazy stuff that people don't really realize that we had for so long, and now everybody hates each other. And I would like to get back to liking each other.
Yeah, ditto. You and I are in the same wavelength, brother.
All right, hey, I really appreciate you talking to me. I know you got other people on board, so thank you, and I'll most certainly be in touch.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. You take care.
You too. Okay, Kim, you're up. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I guess I'm skeptical. Okay, I mean, my work sells for between $5,000 and $10,000. They're large pieces, like 60 by 48 and bigger sometimes. I do have smaller work as well, but I've had a website forever, and I maybe have sold 1 or 2 pieces on the website.
Yeah.
I've had galleries. I sell a couple pieces a year, maybe in the gallery. So, what's the $1,000 going to get me? What's the $50 a month going to get me?
Great questions. So and I'll explain, but let's start at the beginning. Why do you think you never sold anything from your website directly all the years previous?
I have no idea.
Did you ever do any marketing?
Probably not.
It was a rhetorical question because I know, but yeah, you didn't, right? So, So what does the $1,000 get you? It gets you a BA in marketing, art.
Okay.
Not kidding. Yeah. It's straight. We will teach you to become a confident marketer in art. At the end of the day, you're Edmund Hillary. I'm Tenzing Norgay, and I'm going to show you up the hill of art marketing, and that's what you need to learn.
So, is there? I guess my concern is there a market for for my paintings at that price point?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a market for your paintings at that price point. But the only reason I say that is because it looks like you've been doing this for a while and you probably sold a ton already, right? So, when people ask that question that you just asked, either they're looking for validation because they've never attempted to sell it, which is a camp I don't think you're in. I think you're in the camp where, only the market can tell you if you have a product that it wants, right? The danger that happens is when I've never attempted to sell my art. I've never done anything in person, and I'm going to start a website and start marketing because I don't want to try to do that. And that's dangerous, right? But if you sold your art consistently over the years, you have a product the market wants. You've already answered that question. You've validated the fact that your art will sell. Now it's time to attempt to start marketing it, get some more eyeballs, get some more attention for it. So do you feel like you're in that camp? I mean, has this been your living, or is it a hobby, or what was it?
Oh, I teach at a university.
Got it.
So, I've got an income, but I'm going to be retiring here in a few years.
Yep.
And I'd like to keep doing this and make some money off my art.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now my time is limited during the week to do a lot of marketing. And so that's an issue right now.
That's okay. That's also like one of the primary reasons that artists fail. And let me explain. Everybody thinks that I'm going to market. This is going to be my year. And they give it like a month or two's worth of work and they don't get the results that they want because it's not the way it works. And then they quit and they don't do anything, right? It's less about how much time you have to give. And let's just say you have 2 hours a week. That's all you had to give me in the first 2 years. Then I want 2 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. And I'm going to hold you to it, right? The consistency is where everyone goes wrong. It is more about the consistent work on a week in and week out basis than it is the 2 hours versus the 10 hours. Now, will your business grow faster with the 10 hours? Absolutely. But you've got to get the ball rolling. You need to develop the marketing muscles, start building the email list, start emailing it, everything that we teach, all of it. You need to do consistent marketing. Especially in the world that we live in now. I mean, I would have said this way before the pandemic because it's the only way you can get attention. We live in a world where the currency is attention. With attention, you can do anything. Without it, you're not going to sell anything, right? I always sadly say it's why the Kardashians are some of the most powerful people in the United States, because those girls could decide to start painting tomorrow and sell $25 million worth of art in the first year because they have that much access to attention via their social profiles and everything else. But in your case, you get the art on a website, you start learning the marketing, doing the best that you can with the time that you have, and you work on growing that aspect of the business. The more that you do that, the more that it'll be ready to go for you in retirement, and you'll keep working that plan all the way through. That's how it goes.
Okay.
So for you, right to be skeptical. I'm skeptical too. I love being skeptical. You don't need to be skeptical. What you need to decide is, do I have the technical acumen and the drive to attempt to market myself and know that I'm going to need to consistently do that for a couple of years to build a business? If you feel like you can answer that without being wishy-washy, you're a great fit. If you're like, I'm just going to wait until the offline revenue sources come back and, I get into retirement, I can do a fair show, once a quarter, once a month, and that'll be my business. It's a viable path as well. And that will come back eventually, right? The fairs and the shows and the other easy ways to sell. But, there's just no shortcut to owning your own attention, owning your own list, owning your own collectors. Like a lot of the same stuff I said to Jessica, right? Like that's how you build a business that you can't get the rug pulled out on you, like all the revenue sources going away when COVID hit.
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim. It's good questions. And congrats on almost retirement. Yep. Keep the eye on the ring. We're all hoping for those days. Okay. I've got a couple questions on Facebook and Instagram that I'll deal with. And then if anyone else has one here, I'd also love to obviously get into those. I should get my little participants thing back so I can see. Okay, there we go. I got a question on Facebook from Bryce that says, what sells best, abstract or traditional landscapes and still lifes? And that's the crystal ball question. And the crystal ball question is a question that my mother asks, when she goes and sees her financial advisor and asks him, am I going to have enough money for retirement, right? And who knows? There's a million different things that could happen. Mrs. Shanahan's my last name. The larger point is you're asking the wrong question, Bryce. You cannot build a successful art career off of figuring out what sells best and then going and creating that, because it's literally different for every single solitary person, different for every single solitary niche. Are there some general rules of thumb to follow? Absolutely they are. You need to have different sizes. You need to have different price points that best allows you to take advantage of what the market has to offer. But independent of all of that, you can't reverse engineer it that way. You can reverse engineer demand, i.e., instead of me creating what I want to create, I'm going to go and start with a group of diehard, passionate people, and I'm going to create something for them. For instance, let's say you were a painter and you lived in Wisconsin, and you're like, what do we have here in Wisconsin? Green Bay Packers fans. Okay, well, Green Bay Packers fans, it turns out, buy their body weight in Green Bay-related swag on a yearly basis. It's like a religious conviction for them. So if you started creating Green Bay Packer art and sold it to them, you would have a diehard audience. You can reverse engineer things that way. That's a really intelligent way to do it. But in terms of sizes, this size, that size, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you can't ever compare your beginning or middle to someone else. It's a recipe for folly. Price points, any of it. Art is so subjective that there's those things are just not as important, right? You don't know what you don't know. You start in on what you like, what you think will sell. You go and take the product to market. You see whether it'll sell. Does it sell? Yes, you're on the right track. Start marketing. If it doesn't, then you have to come up with something else. But I've seen everything in every niche, in every different subject material, and every different medium and size imaginable sell. And it all just kind of comes down to, is it a product the market wants? And like I said, it's just different every single solitary time. So that's what I would say. Sorry to hear that, Jude, and thank you for the comment. And don't worry, we're not going anywhere. So there's that. Okay. Sylvia's asking, when the buyer purchases from artists through art storefronts, can they check out as a guest? Of course. Yeah, of course they can check out as a guest. No problem. So you don't have to do that. There's certainly, the anonymous level transaction, but if they're really particular about that, we totally advocate, doing the hand-to-hand combat way, which is, hey, Sylvia, thanks for the, the order. Can you just go ahead and send a check? When I get the check, I'll box a piece up and send it to you, and your credit card details won't go online or anything else. Katrina's asking, how well are wildlife and nature photographers doing switching to art storefronts? It's less about, were they not selling anything at all, and then they switched to art storefronts and boom, their business took off and start going. That's not the way it works either. Like, certain nature and wildlife photographers have the same work that everyone has. Their images are amazing, but it's the same work that everyone has. And so they might have a niche problem. It depends on how good they are at their individual marketing. It's not like a light switch, Katrina, where you're just going to snap it on and it's going to work. But if your work is good and you're willing to start doing the marketing, you will do great. Our websites certainly convert at a higher clip than most of our competitors, which isn't saying much because none of our competitors really have sites that are just 100% focused on selling wall art like ours are. So that's what I would say to that question. Okay, where else? Yeah, I'm glad you like the basement story. I love the basement story too. And we have just more and more and more and more of them scheduled, encouraging more customers to do them. That is not hyperbole. I believe the future of selling art and photography online is greatly enhanced by the live art show. I believe it is the future, and that's not just this concept of video-based commerce is not just for the art of photography niche. It's for just about every niche imaginable. It's going to be to the point where clothing stores, you're gonna walk in on Zoom. You're gonna have a personal concierge. They're gonna take a look at your body type and say, okay, what are your measurements? Let me go grab some pieces. Let me show them to you. Ooh, you want that one? I want that one. I want that one. They're gonna send you a box. You're gonna try the pieces on. They already know what's gonna fit. You're gonna decide if you like them. If you do, you're gonna buy them. Otherwise, you're gonna send the box back. There are gonna be stores like that cropping up with that model absolutely everywhere. Everywhere. Good question, Beck. Beck's asking, she does abstract work. What is the best way to price high-end abstract work that you do? The pricing is the least of your concerns. It's very easy to price it. Pricing is an example of one of these things that everybody gets hung up on. Like, where should I price my work? I'm terrified to price my work. But there's two camps. One, there's the whole camp that is struggling with some self-worth issues, and they're terrified to raise their prices, or they're just terrified of pricing in general. That's endemic in the art community. We have advice for those folks, but for everyone else, well, even on the high end, like there's some people that price way too high, price way too low. The great thing about pricing, okay, is you have to ask yourself, Beck, is it a reversible decision? I.e., if you set your price to $10,000 an original and you start marketing for a month and nothing sells, is the decision easily reversible? Yeah, it is. You could drop the prices right back down to $5,000, start marketing the next month and see if anything sells. Prices can go up and down at any point in time. It's a completely reversible decision. Better still, art's not a commodity. There's not a Beck Benzant abstract piece in my local Rouse and also one in my local Rite Aid, and when I can just sit there and look at the prices and say which one's cheaper, right? It's the pricing is completely arbitrary. So you start out by not stressing about it. You start out by realizing, okay, with pricing, I can do whatever I can raise it, I can lower it, I can do that at any point in time, and you just go ahead and boom, you set the price, you start doing some marketing. Beck, if all your pieces sell out, I'm like, okay, Beck, we got to raise prices 20%. Do it right now. And we bump them 20%, and you go in through another wave of marketing. You see what happens. Sells again, boom, we're bumping them up another 20%, sometimes even 50%, 75%, 100%. But you can raise them and lower them at any point in time, at all. So the pricing is really the least of your concerns. The concern you'll have, Beck, is just abstract work is a little bit harder to market in the sense that, how do you search abstract work? Ready, go. What do you put in the search engine? What would I put in the Google search engine, Beck, to find you instantaneously right now? I would put your name because I know who you are, right? Because you're the brand. That part's easy, but abstract art is a little bit harder in that capacity. Each type of niche has its own ups and its downs to it. But we have a bunch of teaching, in all of this, and that'll guide you. But yeah, don't stress about the pricing in the slightest. You have a marketing problem like everyone else, so that's what you got to get going on. Yeah. I love abstract art, though. Just side note. Yeah, Beth, it seems like you're stressing. I've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings with different businesses about how everyone's way is the best way. I'm going crazy because all of them are super expensive with a photographer who is not booked in a long time. And how do we even begin? What I would say, Beth, is, you said earlier that you've been following. I'm just going to unmute you. Are you there, Beth? I got to give you this advice in person. Can you unmute yourself, Beth, bottom left-hand corner? Yep, got you. I'm curious, what are all the other different businesses that you've explored? Oh shoot, your mic's not working. You got it unmuted, so I know you did that part right, but it's not, the microphone, I don't think it's working for whatever reason. You can try. I'll try to start answering your question, Beth, and then you can try. There's like the little microphone in the bottom left-hand corner, and then there's like a little up arrow to the right of it. The up arrow lets you pick the various different microphones you might have on your computer, and it could be like on the wrong one. Yeah, I mean, first things first, Beth, you have to sell your work, right? And if you sold your work, I don't know. If you haven't been booked in a while, you haven't done anything in a while, if you've not sold your art period in a while and or ever, that's the first problem we got to solve, right? Like you need to see if the work that you're putting out is a product the market wants. So you don't need to pay any top dollar money to us or anyone else. Okay, you got to get that product to market and see if it'll sell. If it has sold and it's sold in a decent clip, you sold, 6 or 7 pieces to people not named mother, father, brother, sister, family members who would buy anything from you for any reason. Well, then you're in business. You have something there. You have a product the market wants, and there should be absolutely no one that gets in the way of you getting your stuff printed. If you're a photographer, talking about it, what you were doing, how you did the shot, talking about the fact that it's acrylic, letting them know it's ready to hang, doesn't need a frame, and that it's for sale right now. Like, you can go live on your Facebook page today, Beth, turn the camera on, start talking about your photography, say this is a metal print in stores. It would sell for like $275. But because I'm trying to get my art business and photography business launched, I'm willing to let it go right now for $75. And, show it off on whatever camera you have or your cell phone and attempt to sell it. So that's sort of the ball game. You don't need to get hung up with all these fancy bells and whistles and everything else early on. Early on, you need to attempt to sell the work. If the work has sold, then you have a marketing problem. Until the work will sell, don't worry about the marketing problem. Like pre-pandemic times, this was so much easier because it would be like, get a booth at the local farmer's market, or get a booth at the local fair or craft show, or go guerrilla style and go into your mall and set up the table and put all your work on it, like on the corner of the parking lot or something, and have some conversations until they kick you out. See whether or not strangers will transact commerce with you for the work. If so, you're in business. If not, exactly, Beth. See, I love that attitude. She's like, I'm such a people person. Exactly. You just need to have some conversations about the work and see what happens. If it sells, then you're ready to start tackling the marketing problem, okay? Until it does, Beth, you don't need to go on any more Zooms, or talk to any more people, or worry about buying any expensive programs. You just need to see if the work will sell. That's it. Full stop. So that would be my advice. There, I saved you a bunch of money. All you have to do is spend that money on getting some prints made, use your local printer, just make sure that you contemplate the various different media types. And I'm going to show you this now. Hold on. All right, I've got my little merch pile here. Stuff used to all be on my floor. I have this like little rolly cart now. I'm so pleased with it, I can't even begin to tell you. So, media types, okay? You need a fine art paper, and I'm sorry, my green screen's making that look a little weird, but you need a fine art paper. It can be a textured watercolor paper, or it could be a smooth fine art paper, whatever it is. And, because it's a fine art paper, you would want to show it framed. You don't necessarily have to. You could just show the paper print if you like, but you need to have a fine art paper. You need to have a gallery wrapped canvas, okay? Looks amazing, edge to edge, phenomenally stretched, ready to hang, ready to go on the wall. They don't need to frame. They don't need to do anything. Metal, pretty much the hottest medium on the block right now, what everyone loves. Similar scenario, ready to frame. They don't need to do anything, ready to go directly on the wall, boom. Acrylic is the new fancy kid on the block. It's a little bit higher end, but it commands a higher price point, which is amazing. Again, ready to frame, ready to roll. And the new and upcomer, which no one ever likes to talk about, is wood. And this is literally printed on a 3/4 inch piece of maple, I think. It's also ready to hang. It looks phenomenal in terms of the texture. I love the wood too. Amazing. All of these prints cost less than $100 to get done, or maybe that's a customer only discount, but it costs like $150, and you can have 5 samples that you could show, and I could come to your table and pick up each one, and then you could show your best sellers on them, and it's ready to go. So you can order directly from us if you want. We don't make any money on this, I promise. Is it asfprints.com, I think. You can just upload the stuff there, boom, get it done. If you've got a local printer though, use your local printer too. You know, you can drive to your local one. Doesn't matter who you used, but get the work printed and go give it a shot. Go see if it'll sell, right? And you know, if you're in a small town, then you know you need to figure out a way to stream it, or you use whatever you can, whatever you have to your advantage, to be able to get that work out there and give it a shot. And you know, I use the example that like I have my close coffee shop, and oh yeah, you're in South Side of Chicago, you're gonna be fine. There's plenty of people in Chicago. I use this example all the time, which I love, which is I've got my like local coffee shop that I go to, the one that's close, and then on the weekends at this other place got cinnamon rolls my kids love, and so I bike ride down there. It's like my routine on Saturdays if the weather's nice. And there's some guy, his house is literally on the main thoroughfare, which a bunch of cars go on, and literally every Saturday or Sunday he just goes right on his driveway, right? Because he's on the main street. He goes right on his driveway, sets everything up, and I see people in there looking at it on a regular basis. So you figure out how to use what you have at your disposal and you give it a shot. My guess is in Chicago, you could probably set up a table on a street corner without asking permission and just get it in the water and go. So there you go. But good session today. Really good questions. I really enjoyed all that. If anyone has any last minute ones, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll sort of just give you some updates on what's going on. You know, as I started at the very top, if anyone was paying attention, you know, Mother's Day is coming. It's a big art selling holiday. After that is Father's Day. After that, we market, you know, through the tail end of the year, all summer long, and we get ready for Q4. Q4, without question, is when more art is sold, usually more so than the previous 3 quarters combined. So it's a very important time to start in on your marketing. It's a very important time to start building up the marketing muscles, understanding how to run a sale, understanding how to email your list, all of these various different things to go. So critically important time. As such, I know we are offering, and this only matters if you're ready. If you're not ready, don't worry about it. You can come on in these sessions anytime you want. But there's a link in the chat. We will email it to you after the fact. You have the ability to request a demo. Someone from our team will reach out to you, and you can let them know that you heard on here. There's a free 6 months deal that I think we're running that we throw in addition on top of everything else if you do sign up. So something to take advantage of. Beck, I know you said you have a call with Brian. You can let Brian know that I told you about the free 6 months. And you're asking about, Beck's asking about pop-up galleries. You know, I think the pop-up galleries are interesting. I think it's an interesting concept. It's sort of like the pop-up restaurants because, you know, there's not as much risk involved. You give it a shot, you show up, you see whether or not the work sells. If it doesn't, you're out. You're not out a bunch of money and everything else. So I don't mind the pop-up galleries at all. I'm extremely optimistic that this virus is going to go away, and hopefully we can get back to, you know, a semblance of normalcy, in which case I love the in-person sales. I love them. Absolutely love them. So that's what I would say on that. But on that note, thank you, all you guys. Great session. I had a blast. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you all again soon.